No, Welcome Homes?
No, Cheech, that's welcome home. Get it? Welcome home.
No, man, it's Holmes. They're talking to the people in the neighborhood.
Cheech, it's welcome home, as in welcome home to the network with a tradition of great detective shows like ours.
Oh, now we're part of that great tradition?
Yeah, we got badges, we got cool cars.
Hey, not to mention a handsome leading man and a lovable sidekick.
Yeah.
Hey, is this the first time you ever played a sidekick?
Nash Bridges, Fridays on CBS. Welcome home.
And Holmes.
Homie.
In the diamond light of an American night, there's a place I see, it's calling me. Welcome home. On an incredible night, an unforgettable sight, to a CBS night.
Tonight, stick around for The Late Show as Dave welcomes Mr. Show Business, Billy Crystal. Thanks for watching CBS. Now your local news.
Guess what we were cleaning up from 6 months ago tonight? How's it look for this weekend's regatta kickoff? The AccuWeather forecast is straight ahead on KDKA TV News at 11.
Live.
The crash of TWA Flight 800. There are conflicting reports tonight about what divers found today.
Home team coverage.
Victims of Mother Nature, now victims again. A new threat for people trying to recover from last week's floods.
You're watching KDKA TV News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Jennifer Antkowiak, sitting in for Patrice.
And I'm Stacy Smith.
Now, the crash of TWA Flight 800, since it happened, there's been conflicting information just about every day about every aspect of the investigation.
And tonight is no different. Earlier today, there were reports that up to 100 more bodies had been found underneath a large section of the fuselage still submerged in the Atlantic Ocean. That word came from New York Governor George Pataki. But tonight, the FBI says the governor was just being hopeful, and in fact, more than 100 bodies are still missing. Also earlier today, White House Chief of Staff Leon Panetta told reporters tests indicated traces of chemicals on the wreckage and the bodies. Tonight, though, the president said investigators had not drawn any conclusions. Let's get the latest now from CBS reporter Elizabeth Caledon in this live report.
Navy and police divers have now embarked on a 24-hour-a-day mission to bring up debris and bodies from the ocean floor. The hope is that more than 100 victims will be discovered in the wreckage and will be brought up in the next few days. It appeared a rather unproductive day on shore, with only 3 bodies recovered. But out at sea, a lot was accomplished. The Navy salvage ship, the USS Grasp, arrived outfitted with sophisticated video and scanning equipment.
There's a piece of wreckage out there that's 45 feet tall, according to the sonar.
More than 30 scuba divers mapped the ocean floor and identified wreckage in a concentrated debris field 1.5 miles long by a half-mile wide. A C-130 transport plane has hauled a large piece of wreckage to an FBI lab in Washington for analysis. The lab results could point to a terrorist bomb.
And we have circumstantial evidence that would point in those directions, but it certainly was not conclusive.
Divers investigated a large piece of fuselage that could hide many of the bodies. The Navy will not hoist up the wreckage until all the remains are recovered.
We're hopeful within the next day that the Navy hard hat divers, the divers who have direct oxygen supplies pumped from the surface, can go down and operate 24 hours a day and begin to actually bring things to the surface.
The hard hat divers will be able to stay under for 90 minutes. Until now, scuba divers at the scene have only been able to stay on the bottom for 5 minutes before surfacing. Diving at the crash site is a dangerous job. One diver has already been hospitalized with the bends, and the downed plane is a tangle of loose wires. For those reasons, investigators say the search and recovery will move very slowly. Reporting live from East Mauritius, Long Island, I'm Elizabeth Caledon, CBS News. Now back to you.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth.
Now, the crash is prompting tougher security at United Airlines. United says it will no longer check small packages through unless they are first opened and the owner shows 2 forms of valid identification. There will also be more spot bag searches on international flights. United is also considering domestic bag matching. That would require a customer who checks a bag on a flight to be on the plane before it is allowed to take off.
And there is more bad news tonight for Valuejet. Its flight attendants union is blaming the airline's top management for what it calls a horrendous safety record. The union is urging federal regulators to remove the airline's top 2 executives before allowing Valuejet to resume flying. Victims of last week's floods have again become victims, but this time the culprit is not Mother Nature. Police say there has been some looting in Big Run in Jefferson County. That is near Punxsutawney. Ralph Iannotti is live there tonight with more. Ralph?
Well, Stacy, a lot of homeowners and businesses are waiting for curbside pickup, as you can see here in the Punxsutawney Big Run area. The Jefferson County Emergency Management Agency estimated today 500 homes and 100 businesses in Jefferson County sustained some flood damage this week. And 4 days after the floods, some of those hard hit by the disaster are finding out that it's still not over.
Never expected anything this bad. It's devastating.
David Walls used to keep his collection of hats on his bed. But like a lot of other things in this area, the hats are drying out after last weekend's torrential rains and floods.
We had probably 8 inches of rain in probably 5.5 hours from, I'd say, 2:30 in the morning till 8 in the morning.
The floodwaters have receded. The cleanup is well underway in the Punxsutawney area. But adding to the misery of some of the flood victims here is the realization that their troubles are not over yet. Keith Hallapeter told me things were stolen from both his and his neighbor's house.
They stole some of their merchandise up there, and someone helped themselves to some of my tools sometime between Saturday and, Saturday morning there, so.
What did they take from your neighbor?
Oh, they took a scanner, television, appliances. I don't know what all it was.
They just can't believe the way the people are in here taking stuff after losing what they did have, and then people's in here trying to take stuff that they had saved and was trying to dry out.
The Red Cross has set up a temporary shelter here at the Big Run United Methodist Church. One person who was staying here earlier this week reported that his security box was broken into and $70 was taken. The Reverend Keith McElwain has been pastor here for only 3 weeks now.
The sermon this week is going to be on the book of Job. Job was a righteous man who lost everything, and right when it seemed he was going to lose his faith, the Lord restored him. So that should give some hope to these people, I hope.
In addition to the damage to all the private homes and businesses here in the Punxsutawney Big Run area, we're told 3 schools in the Punxsutawney area school district sustained flood damage this week, Stacy. So a big mess up here still to be cleaned up. Back to you at Gateway Center.
All right. Thanks, Ralph.
Now, if you were stuck in rush hour traffic on Pittsburgh's South Side tonight, here's why. A fire broke out at the Rent-A-Camp Building Supply on East Carson Street around 5 o'clock. Police say a wooden plank caught fire and almost caused an oil tank nearby to explode. Firefighters worked quickly to contain the fire, and no one was hurt. No word yet on what started that fire. Pittsburgh Mayor Tom Murphy and the Rooney family, owners of the Steelers, are embroiled in a war of words. At the center of the fight is a $600 million development near Three Rivers Stadium. The Rooneys want to build a major sports and entertainment complex between the stadium and the West End Bridge. But what worries the Murphy administration is a major retail mall. That would include a Nordstrom's department store. The mayor wanted that Nordstrom's to go downtown to complement a new Lazarus as well as Kaufman's and Saks. We'll let you know what happens as those negotiations continue.
He has been a wanted man for a year and a half, but KDKA TV News has tracked down John Schaltenberger. The former Connellsville choir director, twice convicted of molesting children, is now living in Mexico. By moving there, he has escaped penalties for violating state orders to stop recruiting young boys for choir tours. Well, Schaltenberger talked with Ken Rice by telephone earlier today, and he said that he will come home for a court hearing next month.
Well, Mr. Schallenberger, there are some people that would say, why don't you just stay in Mexico? It would be better for you, and it would be better for Pennsylvania, considering the problems you've had with the law. Why don't you just stay there?
I want to be heard. I want to defend myself. I was not entitled. I was deprived of a chance to be heard.
A hearing for Schallenberger is set for August the 20th here in Pittsburgh. Well, another day in court for former Pittsburgh Steeler Carlton Hasselrig. His hearing today was in Johnstown, and that story tops Our hometown headlines tonight. A judge ordered Hasselrig to stand trial on drunk driving charges. He was arrested 2 weeks ago after police spotted him right